Few things define private luxury better than owning a private jet. Indeed, perhaps the only people who take selfies in a private jet are those who don't actually own one, because those that do go the extra mile to conceal their ownership and protect their privacy. Which is why you can tell I'm one of those who's never owned a jet, or I wouldn't be showing all those times I've flown private before. Yet, even if I can't afford to, that doesn't mean I can't see the wisdom behind private ownership. So, if you're one of those billionaires ready to take the plunge, we did the research to help you decide whether to do it yourself or have a company manage everything for you instead. Owning a private jet, if you're not ready for it, can turn private luxury into a personal nightmare. And that's why most owners prefer to let the professionals do all the heavy lifting for them. Professional companies like Asian Aerospace. To help us navigate the ownership journey from A to Z, from choosing a model to reselling it after, we turn to the Philippines' largest and most experienced private aircraft management company. So yeah, a lot of people are convinced about owning a private jet. Who isn't, right? And then when they have the money, when they're able to convince their board of directors or convince themselves that indeed it's ready to own one, they're ready to own one. It's never that simple, is it?
It's not really, because it's not as simple as walking to a car dealership and picking out the car and getting it. So when you have finally decided to pick a plane, first I'm going to ask you what your mission is and where do you go, where do you fly to. If you are intent on buying it, and if you are flying, let's say maybe around Asia, I will recommend to you this model of aircraft. If you're flying just within the Philippines, I'll recommend to you this model of aircraft. If you're flying all the way to the US, I can also recommend to you another kind of aircraft.
So what you're saying is the first step is picking what plane is best for you.
Correct. What plane is best for your mission?
Assuming you have the money ready, although you can get in touch with distributors or check the used market, you'll still need professional advice to help you pick the brand and model that fits your requirements, your budget, and the amount of time you intend to use it. A Pilatus PC-24 jet, for example, would be ideal, both size and cost-wise, if you only fly within the Philippines with trips to neighboring ASEAN cities. For medium-haul and longer intercontinental flights, a larger jet that can be purchased on the used market would be better suited. Or why not brand new? The newer generation G500 or the ultra-long and state-of-the-art Gulfstream G700 offer the latest innovations if you can afford them. But that's just the easy part. Buying a new or used aircraft requires thorough technical assessments, regulatory protocols, and paperwork. Lots of paperwork that can only be done by experienced professionals.
So the first part is when you buy a plane. The next part is the documentation. You have to decide where to register the plane. So we have customers that decide to register their plane within the Philippines. Some of them want to register it in the US or in the BVI and all sorts of locations. So next is you decide where to register it, and then we process all the documentation for you to make sure the plane is legal to fly inside the country and outside.
I guess a lot of the misinformation or the wrong ideas people get about plane ownership is they watch too many movies. And in those movies, people just jump into planes and take off. It's not that simple, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our flight operations teams and our maintenance teams, our quality assurance teams, everybody working hand in hand to make sure everybody's flight is seamless. So this is something you don't see when you're flying with us. The only thing you see is you go up the stairs on the plane and then you sit down and you're ready to go. But the preparation that goes to making sure your plane is ready, your helicopter is ready, there's a million things happening in the background.
Apart from all the paperwork, permits, and coordination with aviation and airport authorities in the background, you'll need to factor in repairs and maintenance as well. Here's another challenge I imagine most new owners of private jets would face. It's just maintaining the plane and where to house it, where to hangar it.
Maintenance especially, because once you have the plane, you have to worry about keeping it flying. And it should be flying when you need it to fly. A plane, just like a car, needs to be run frequently. you need to fly it a lot. So if you are intent on owning a plane, we make sure that your plane can fly the mission, even if you don't fly that 1-2 times a week. By running it up, taking care of it, our maintenance teams are always here to make sure your plane is A-OK.
I imagine another challenge after purchasing the plane is who's going to fly the plane for you?
For the plane, you need to have rated and trained and experienced pilots to fly it. So we have our pool of pilots that are already with Asian Aerospace flying our aircraft, and we can assign them to your aircraft, or if you want a dedicated crew, we can hire a dedicated crew for you. So especially if you require an ultra long range jet where you fly internationally a lot, one problem we always encounter is visas. So we can get foreign crew with our international network and make sure that your plane is in the best care.
If the cost and complexity of ownership mentioned so far is giving you cold feet, brace for more. Apart from the aircraft purchase price and air and ground crew salaries, there's depreciation, insurance, and government fees to consider. You also need to budget for fuel, handling, parking, storage, and other airport fees, not to mention constant repairs and upgrades. Even for a small aircraft like the PC-24, be prepared to budget about $500,000 a year just for operating expenses at 300 flight hours per year. Far more for a long-range Gulfstream jet. Which is why many turn to do-it-yourself schemes or work with freelance operators that seem cheaper on paper but more costly, even unsafe in the long term.
This is something we see quite often here in the Philippines. Whenever some people buy planes, they think it's as easy to operate as a car or a small boat. So they hire one pilot or one captain and one mechanic to run everything. Unfortunately, that's not enough. What usually happens when you go that route, and we call that under the mango tree route, is mistakes happen and things disappear. Ordered parts arrive and never show up, and turns out it never needed to be replaced anyway. So with a professional organization like Asian Aerospace, we'll make sure that these things don't happen to your aircraft.
In other words, without a professional aircraft management team supporting your investment, you might be better off just leasing a plane instead, which is exactly what many owners offer to others less risk-averse as they are. They lease out their aircraft when not in use.
And we can definitely charter your aircraft out to our customers. This way, your aircraft will earn revenue while it's waiting for you to fly. And in the same way, if you want to sell it, we can also sell it.
It's no wonder then that despite the rising cost of ownership, aircraft sales remain robust across the world. A testament indeed of the flexibility and freedom a private plane offers its owners, and the sheer pleasure and quiet luxury of personal possession. And that's all for this episode of Executive Class. I'm David Celdran. Thanks for watching.